excellent. Lewis Snookes, welcome to Hold That Thoth. Definitely some interesting territory to cover today. And ma'am, did you join me? The new book, Refractive Simulation, part one, and some other concepts to outline. I don't know if you want to kick it off. Maybe say a few words about like stuff that you're into, or like a background of some sort, or you don't have to. If not, you can just jump right into the.
Uh, I won't just because I don't think people are too bothered. But
Sure.
I'm
Hey,
just get
man. Yeah,
straight
I'm
into
cool with
the
it.
into the presentation if you like.
Rock and roll.
I mean,
Absolutely.
I know a lot of your viewers know me from Dave's show and Brandon's show that I've showed up there a few times. So at the end, we'll go through any more details for people that don't know me. But
Oh, absolutely. Well, yeah,
here we
jump
go.
right off. I'm down.
Right, I'm just double
Oh yeah.
checking that you can't see my notes.
Negative.
No, awesome. So, in this presentation, I will be discussing my own thoughts and theories on what I believe to be the superforce, or at least one component of it. When thinking about the origin of consciousness and the cosmos, we must first order our thinking into one of two sections to see where we can go from there and by extension, what is possible. If you believe that the origin of our nature is within human comprehension to understand, or that it is not, and for the moment we must act under the guise that the former statement is true and that we can actually understand it. One example of this understanding may be the origin story of reality. It's said by some that reality is eternal. It was simultaneously nothing and infinite, and then suddenly became conscious of itself. And right there, we've stumbled upon the crux of the issue, because either you can believe that there was nothing at everything everywhere, and yet nowhere, or you can't believe that or don't believe that. And if you use your rational mind, the paradoxical question will always remain, and that is, where did that come from? An example, of course, is if everything came from God, then where did God come from? And you can only really rebuttal this idea with that God, or the universe, if you prefer, is eternal, which to many is not rational due to the way that we think and experience time. The idea of reality being eternal yet never occurring, being everywhere and nowhere, nothing and infinite simultaneously, is totally paradoxical and contradictory to our 3D minds. We experience the idea of life and death throughout our current existence, and so the idea of life beyond time seems ineffable to most. However, if the all is indeed in the all, then if something is true, it will present itself in all systems, in my opinion, of course. The truth is therefore paradoxical in nature, and anything that is paradoxical in nature must be true, yet untrue, and this is the nature of paradox, which permeates everything. We're all living in a world of illusion, and it's hard to draw that line between what is objectively real to its core and what is not, and what is merely illusion. And one example, of course, is how, we think this table, this mic, this screen is physical, and it's not really physical, atoms together, and that's just one example of paradox. Now, if something can be shown and seen everywhere, then by extension it must be true as it permeates all things. And of course, this is just my humble opinion.
I agree, and I do enjoy a good paradox myself, also. But I didn't mean to interject.
There's many of them.
Oh, I see. The more you see, I think the wider the array grows. Also, for sure.
The more you see, the less you know.
I totally concur.
So I believe, for the moment, that the superforce is created via the connection between what I call the law of two: positive and negative charge, yin and yang, male and female, dark and light, external, internal, odd and even, active and passive, etc., etc. It's the alchemical marriage, the union of opposites. It is two seemingly opposed things then coming together to create a third thing of a higher nature. The collaboration of the polarity of the whole, which results in equilibrium, is life itself. And throughout this presentation, I'll be using balance and equilibrium interchangeably, even though I know they're different words slightly. The superforce is life, which is the present, which is the gift of the future and the past making love. We see the superforce affecting every time state that we are aware of. The present affects the past and the future. The future affects the past. The future and the past affect the present, and the present and the past affect the future. And here we see that the connector is the key, it's the unifier, aka the superforce. Ether, for example, is spirit, Eve, her, the feminine. We also have Adam or atom, and Eve or ether. The material and spiritual come together. Now, the rest of this presentation is likely to be going over various examples, and so unfortunately will be a little bit repetitive in its nature as we are just discussing one thing from multiple angles. However, its repetitiveness is vital in understanding how it pervades everything and is arguably everything, or at least within it. So I thought for the moment we could discuss the potential origin of the universe. From nothing comes something, and this can be substantiated through mathematics, which by some is said to be God fractalized. For instance, zero or nothing is infinite, and this is why zero is a circle, the Ouroboros, for example. Then comes one, the illusion. Paradoxically, the only singularity is nothingness, yet even that holds within it the potential of everything. And there is only 0 and 2, for when you have one thing, the law of polarity means that you have two. The unity, so number one, is created by nothing and everything. It is obviously either the nothing or the everything portion. Simply demonstrated, imagine that you hold both ends, both poles, both dualities together, and you go to flick a rubber band at someone. The rubber band goes from a circle to one straight single thing. And it's, of course, it goes into the poles are split as well. So here you could have dark and light, male, feminine, blah, blah, blah. An example is, another example is wave collapse from several states to the reduction of one. In quantum mechanics, wave function collapse is said to occur when a wave function, initially in a superposition of several states, appears to reduce to just one state due to the interaction, with the external world, and this is called an observation. Interestingly enough, this observation coincides with the religious idea on how the universe came into existence. In Hebrew, it's aheye, roughly translating to I am, which was said to be God's observation of itself. In Christianity, the first part says in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God. His name was said to be Yahweh, which means that I am that I am. And lastly, in Islam, it's said that the Quran states that Allah simply said be, and this was the observation that created reality. All are, of course, anecdotal examples of this wave collapse. And, and of course, the word is synonymous with vibration, which, as we know, means, can be connected to many things. Cymatics, for example, changes in form and structure. From unity comes one. No, from unity, one comes two through the forced division of duality. One halved becomes two, the splitting of the atom. The same thing split into its pair of opposites is what created the universe. The Big Bang occurred from the one. You could call this God or you could call this nothing. Splitting in half to then create the all. Notice with the rubber band analogy, if we stay with that, that when you hold the band together to stretch it to start, the two sides stay together, creating one, as seen on the previous slide. But when you pull the thing apart from opposite sides, you create division, you create the two, right wing, left wing, Coke, Pepsi, blah, blah, blah. You could argue that the people in charge, who put themselves in charge, are into separation specifically, and I think all of us here today are involved in collaboration. From one comes two.
I would agree. And the example that keeps, and I'm not to interrupt your flow, but the example keeps popping up in my mind would be whole in that specifically, like the whole interaction being like your polarity of like maybe your plus and your minus, and then the Zitterbielgang or whatever your motion at zero would be the indicator of number two in the your fission there, where it would be maybe like a time crystal interaction of to to me, because I'm obsessed with time crystals. The crystal position is both positive and negative, but holding holding the center state at the same time. But please go on. I just keep thinking of that every time is the
No,
superposition.
man, I want to hear your thoughts if you have any. Don't hold back on my account.
Oh, excellent, excellent.
So number three, the third thing, is what Dave has often called making love. One force disguises two, creating a third thing. The two coming, no pun intended, together create the three, which is a baby. The baby is the third component, which is the interaction of the two, which in my estimation is the super force, which I've demonstrated as the Nagi, the life force, chi, prana, just by this green wiggly line that I've drawn in the middle. Two, which is male and female, plus one, which is the baby, has resulted in harmony and balance. This then becomes and is viewed as the number four, which is the number of completion. In alchemy, there are four stages. Four is the final stage, symbolizing completion. In Jung's idea of the self, man is fourfold, or in other words, a quaternity. Each part makes up the whole. What is the whole? Nothing and yet everything. It, symbolized mathematically, is zero. Four also comes back to one, which we can correlate to number four. Sorry, also being a transitional number as well as a final one. It is the end, and yet it is the beginning. So by using all the numbers that we've used so far, so 1, 2, 3, 4, they equal 10. 1 plus 0 equals 1. So 1 also equals 0, as it's just a reflection and perspective of itself. Now, 12 is also a popular number, also for many things. We have 12 archons, 12 angels, 12 zodiac signs, and so on and so on. In gematria, 12 is 1 plus 2, creating 3. 3 is the result of the 2, and therefore creates wholeness, which is what? 4, which then results back to the 1 as 10 plus 1. 10 plus 0, sorry. So
Four
4 is
wave
the...
mix too. Oh, there it is. Bam. I didn't mean to interrupt.
So good. So 4 is the number of completion, light, gnosis, awareness, a high vibrational state perhaps. We see the as above, so below phenomena. As the frequency increases, so does the color, which correlates, of course, to the chakra system. White contains all colors, whereas black is the absence of color. And it made sense when both looking at the diagram I made at the bottom right, when thinking about the infinity symbol, and when thinking about the yin and yang, for example, that each zero to create the number 8 are opposites. The first circle, the first circle of white contains everything within it. The second circle of black contains nothing within it. Yet paradoxically, as we know, within both circles and in all examples, there must be a small portion of its opposite contained within it, as the all is in the all. If there is nothing, it holds the potential of everything, and within everything, the potential of nothing must also simultaneously exist. We have four parts of the photon, creates a cube or a square, which, as we discussed, may be the smallest units in the Planck scale. Planck scale. The square again is a symbol of completion, and yet again we have the wave collapse. I also noticed that as I was making this drawing, how similar it was to the cosmic egg that is discussed in the popular CIA document on reality, and we will touch on the cosmic egg shortly in just a little while. From the two, we get male and female, which are opposites. So we can view this as male being equal to 1 and female being equal to -1. And so this would mean that the superforce is 0, as -1 plus 1 equals 0. Hence 0, hence the 0 point. And here I've drawn an example of a cross as well, just there. Woman is seen from the cross sidewards, -1 in green, and from behind is the masculine in the red. Man is seen, sorry, I just said that. So to put it simply, think of a phallus and a vagina. The number 1 is a phallic number, and the vaginal hole is also the 0 point. But it's not just 0, it goes inside and beyond the 0, which, as we know in mathematics, is minus. Inside the woman is the G spot, guard the generative principle. And this is again why there are constant attempts to divide and split and make the two sides fight against each other. We are a combination of man and woman, X and Y chromosomes. Through combining male, masculine, and feminine consciousness, we achieve equilibrium. We create the superforce, and this power will ascend, which is the path of the z-axis, which points up. Which is why when things entangle, kiss, or make love, and when together, they ascend. And we see this in the Matrix movie, where Neo and Trinity work together to save Morpheus. We will see them ascend up the elevator, as well as creating life through their connection when they come together and they bring each other back from the dead. Of course, the intuition, the heart is at the center of the body, which is the balance of male and female. It's the center point, center chakra. Neo and Trinity together. Neo is 1, Trinity is 3. 1 plus 3 is 4, which is completion. We have the male X in red added to the green female Y. Then you get the Z. We get this if you add the two top halves together or the two bottom halves together, which I don't think by any means of the imagination is a coincidence. Similar to the XYZ axis, the Z is part of both, and just like we are, it's half and half, creating the unifying force. The Z, when split, also creates two triangles. The top red dominant triangle is the symbol of the phallus, or commonly known as the blade, which is the masculine positive elements. The green triangle, which points down, is known as the chalice and can be likened to a womb, which is the female negative, etc. We also achieve phase conjugation of the z-axis when we add the male and the female, the positive with the negative. If we look at the letter X, we see the two linked but opposing number 7s touching each other, where the point cones kissing at the bottom of the number 7. We can clearly see the number 1 at the bottom of the Y. So 7 plus 1 equals 8, which is infinity, unlimited, just like the potential of the vacuum, 0 point when we harness the dual nature of reality, of positive and negative, light and dark, etc. When we attain the center point, the 0 point of the Z, Y, X axis, then we can ascend perhaps through the Kundalini, etc. Notice throughout there seems to be this divine trio, and I believe that the third component, just like the third DNA strand perhaps, may be the connector between the three. It's the superforce, and this is why it might be so hard to see. The divine trio is everywhere in reality. It's the bridge between worlds, and this is why it's called the unifying field theory, because it's the third aspect of the masculine and the feminine. It's the connector.
Oh, I think it also brings together scientific and spiritual on a few levels. And another point to the seven and one, like for infinity that I recognized was the all sorts of ancient traditions have 7 as their number, and then plus the observer or the individual makes infinity, which is just something that occurred to me when he pointed that out. But that's awesome.
Pardon me. Thank you. So when we overlap and oppose the Z, which is a combination of male and female as previously shown, We get the DNA double helix, again, the infinity symbol, hourglass symbol, speaking to unlimited potential. Imagine a device in the shape of an hourglass that contained energy within it that we could think of as grains of sand. What do you think would happen then if we introduce spin? We would
Well,
have unlimited it.
oh, go
We
ahead.
would.
No, I
Sorry,
was gonna
mate.
say our microtubules kind of do that. Like if you want to steal that idea or inject it along to this
It
framework,
comes.
like
It comes up shortly in a
oh,
sec.
it does. Oh, I was gonna, because the other point that I meant to kind of to throw in to this is the third strand. Like, what if the you get your two outer strands vibrating just the right way, and then like it's not really a strand that comes up, but like a active, we'll just say plasma bead that you interweave. Like, it would fit with what you're saying, I believe, but I th- I think that's how it works. I think it is a strand technically, but it's also like energetic, like below below the granular level of like condensate, like again, like time crystal, like super fine interactivity. But please,
Hmm. Well, perhaps I'm being stupid from what you've just said as well. If you think about obviously DNA being in us and all this, we have blood, which is plasma. So that's the third thing, the background that it could be like your suggestion, yeah. So
I would concur and definitely and but I'm looking into that myself as well for sure. I'm with it 100%.
interesting, man. Um, so what would think if we then introduce spin? We would have perhaps unlimited energy because the energy would never settle into one form or any one polarity. The two halves working together would create infinite potential. So using light or sound, for example, which are both waves and particles at the same time, we could perhaps tap this energy by not letting it form into any one polarity. The purple lines, wherever in potential, of course, speaks to the potential within the confines of reality when viewed topologically. We again have the Z, which, and if I was to double that and make the square parameters, you have the vector sum to zero, pine cones kissing, all of that. Now, the only exception out of all the elements that I can see that doesn't contain a neutron is the element hydrogen. And why do I think this is? Because the connection between the union of two opposites, the positive proton charge collaborating with the negative charge of the electron, the yin yang, which is hydrogen, which is, sorry, I've skipped a bit there, mate.
No, 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 no. It's all right. It's all right.
um, the positive proton charge collaborating with the negative charge of the electron, the yin and the yang, attributing to the superforce, which is dark matter slash antimatter, perhaps, which is hydrogen, which is the element used in anti-gravitic applications. Helium also is used in anti-gravitic applications, and helium also has two of everything, which mathematically can be viewed as a similar state to hydrogen, as in the end, you are left with two, since the proton and the neutron cancel each other out, and you are left with a neutral charge.
Well, I think
Now,
helium 3 has like a 6. It would be a 6, right? Like if it was a three spin states of two atoms. But please go ahead. No,
I'm just
you're
talking
totally
like
on point.
basic
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah. Oh, yeah, yeah. No,
You're
no, no.
probably right, mate. I apologize.
Oh shit. No, don't apologize to me, man.
Um, Now this is only when the element is stable, or as I like to put it, in harmony. And when an element becomes unstable, and you have too many protons to electrons, for example, you create what is called an ionized element. An ionized element in the body creates dis-ease. It fights against DNA and tissue within the body, causing health issues, cancers, etc. And this is due to the fact that, in my opinion, the element is no longer in flux of its natural state, and because we are nature, these ionized elements fight against us as they are disharmonious and out of balance. Perhaps the most Perhaps the most dangerous elements are the ones that are ionized. But notice how all these elements are ones that we put into our body from the food we eat to the water we drink, not to mention the chemtrails which pollute the natural ground and our bodies at the same time. Lead is in deodorant. Arsenic can be found in rice and grains, Bill Gates, Monsanto, etc. Suddenly, we have a gluten epidemic. Chlorine is used to disinfect water, and these are all elements that we are surrounded by and are regularly intaking into our bodies. Our bodies are then weakened by the instability of these elements, creating disharmony and dis-ease, as above, so below. And this might be why, for example, diets like vegan and carnivore work so well for people. It might not be the fact that it's because you're eating meat or it's because you're eating vegetables. It might be that we are getting away from all these chemicals.
That's what I would
Uh,
argue. I would say that's true, and I would argue, without sounding like I'm giving out medical advice of any sort, that there might be, again, other alternate ways to maybe realign the dis-ease that gets put into your body for sure. But please continue.
no, I agree with that. And if we look at neutron scattering as well, which occurs from negatively charged electrons meeting the positively charged nucleus of hydrogen, which is a proton, the result is displayed in the top right. And I'm sure it's obvious to all of us. The DNA double helix, infinity symbol, and so on. And then again, we have that Y-ank shape. Now, as we've previously discussed hydrogen, I'm not going to go over its importance, but remember antigravitic properties, etc. Four parts help make up the DNA structure: adenine, thymine, guanine, and cytosine. Cytosine just so coincidentally happens to be the opposite of guanine. These two merge to create one strand, and then adenine pairs with thymine, two opposites creating a third thing of a higher nature. We have hydrogen bonds in the water, in our DNA, in our hair, which acts as antennas, as some have said, and hydrogen bonds also contribute to the stability and mechanical properties of microtubules in the brain. A dipole is a pair of equal and opposite electric charges or magnetic poles of opposite sign separated by a small distance. An electric dipole deals with the separation of the positive and the negative charges found in any electromagnetic system. A simple example of this system is a pair of charges of equal magnitude, but opposite signs separated by some small distance. Its opposite, a magnetic dipole, is the closed circulation of an electric current system. A simple example is a single loop of wire with a constant current through it. A bar magnet, for example, is a permanent magnetic dipole moment. For the simple electric dipole, the electric dipole moment points from the negative charge towards the positive charge, and it has a magnitude equal to the strength of each charge times the separation between the charges. Again, the superforce, two things opposing, creating a third thing of a higher nature. Splitting the dipole could be viewed metaphorically as ascension or descension in people. The positive and the negative eventually moving towards the extremes, and in reality, splitting in two, perhaps, which is said by, of course, people of religion. You have heaven or hell, two opposites separated by a small distance. Using the seesaw mechanism to include neutrino mass into the standard two-component model of neutrinos, which uses oppositional heavy right-handed neutrinos as opposed to the conventional left-handed only neutrino containing no mass, it may be possible to create, I'm not sure I'm pronouncing this right, Majorana
I
particles
think
as
that's
seen
right.
above. Majorana, or say
Madrona, yeah, I think so. Well, I mean, either that or I'm saying it wrong too. It's way either way. It's cool. People know what we're talking about for sure, man.
um, Great, as seen above, these work as their own antiparticles, and yet again, two opposite two oppositional things working together to create a third thing of a higher nature. Now, these are also speculated to contain or propagate dark matter, a sentiment which, based on this presentation, could indeed be true. Now, this for me is the cherry with the on top of the cake. Physicists at MIT and elsewhere have found evidence of Majorana fermions. Now, what metal do you think they're found on that I always bash about in my presentations?
Oh,
Gold.
gold. All right.
Gold.
It would have been
Now,
beryllium. Would have been my second guess.
and if we also take a look at the Department of Energy's Fermi Lab, doesn't it look like what we've been talking about? Each circle representing an opposing force working together at the same time.
It certainly does.
Now, I'm not even going to pretend to understand completely what this is going on about, so I'm going to go over basics. Now, in Whitaker's paper, it was indicated, again, this is just my understanding at the time, that all electromagnetic waves slash fields are to be separated into two scalar potential functions, and the combination of these two waves will create a thing of a higher nature called the interference zone. Now, to quote Whitaker, it will be noted that F and G are defined in terms of the positions of the electrons alone and do not explicitly involve their velocities, since in the above formula for D and H, an interchange of electric and magnetic quantities corresponds to a change of G into F and F into G. It is clear that the two functions F and G exhibit the duality which is characteristic of electromagnetic theory. Thus, an electrostatic field can be described by F alone and a magnetostatic field by G alone. Again, if the field consists of a plane wave of light, then the functions of F and G correspond respectively to two plane polarized components into which it can be resolved. End quote. Now, again, I don't fully understand the meaning between F and G. I read this paper a long time ago, but I've wrote here that F is the sixth number in the alphabet and G is the seventh number in the alphabet. Now, maybe not so coincidentally, when added together, this creates the number 13, which added together by gematria equals 4, and as we've discussed, the number of completion.
Well, I think it's force and gravity, and then if another lens to apply to it would be like if you had weak and strong gravity forces, theoretically, you could use the same framework, and I think it would apply across the same. If I'm getting it right, I might have my abbreviations mixed up too.
You're probably right, mate. You know what you're talking about.
Oh shit, I appreciate it. You too, man.
So here we see the interference zone of which we spoke in the last slide, which is the third thing, the connection of two opposites coinciding. Again, it's not a coincidence that we see the ankh, the Y, and the infinity symbol represented in the notions of the blue and the red. Now, in Freemasonry, G is at the center of the, what do they call it, logo, and it's of extreme importance. And I believe this can be viewed, obviously, just one analysis as the scalar potential interferometers, the G being the interference zone, obviously in the middle. G, the seventh number of the alphabet, 26 letters in the alphabet. If we take 26 as the whole and we subtract it by 7, we're left with the number 19. 19 is the Masonic symbol without the interference zone, which, if we take the interference zone from the Masonic symbol, we are just to bring these two ends together, which I've highlighted there, and then this would obviously create a straight line, and so we have collapsed the wave.
And it
If we
looks like
have
they're.
19, we add currency.
Oh no, I was gonna say it looks like the G, if it stands for gravity and volumetrically, it's more on the bottom than upwards. So I would guess it's probably not in the ascension pathway in terms of overall goal, just from your diagram there. But that's sick. I've never put that together.
Thank you. So if we have 19 and we add the numbers together, 1 to 9, we get 10. 1 plus 0 is 1, symbolic of the beginning. And lastly, 1 is the beginning and 9 is completion, the end, two opposites again in the number 19. And of course, I've drew the green and the pink triangles, which make up the interference zone. They are, of course, the blade and the chalice, the masculine, the feminine principles coming together to create the interference zone. Now, your actions create the DNA helix structure metaphorically. The good creates the bad creates the good. On the right, we have hate and love, two opposites connecting together to create an interference zone. 0 point energy in physics, I just put it in green. And notice how they are both waves, like you have in graphs, sorry. You have a peak and a flat line, an ebb and a flow. Hate repels, it's explosive. Love is connection, is implosive, which artistically is what we would see if we were to imagine them as a graph, which is life itself. The superforce is also known as the unified field theory, as it unifies all things. And as we have discussed, and as we see here, it's the unification, it's the joining of God and man, for example, above and below, spirit and matter. The quantum vacuum lies between their fingers, perhaps, where infinite potential and possibilities lie. We have the super Zitterbewegung, the interference zone, the bridge between worlds, the superforce again. Sorry to keep going on. It's the connection between man and the divine, the union of opposites. We also notice when, and again, props to Dave for showing me the super Bewegung, that when you create it, they also appear to be spirals or vortexes, which of course speaks to fractality, and how by the use of spin, a fan or propeller, for instance, would be needed to create an effect. Again, the XYZ axis, three strand DNA, and we have the interference zone and the 0 point. Can you hear that knocking, by the way?
No, no,
No, that's all
no.
right.
Is something's knocking?
Yeah,
Is
they're
it
putting
me?
up Christmas.
Oh,
No, no, putting up
oh,
Christmas
oh,
stuff
okay.
outside. I just want to make sure you can't
Oh,
hear.
heck yeah. No, no, that no
That's
holiday
all right.
intrusions.
Um, man and woman, sorry, are lower forms of what they could be. The masculine, in its divine state, is a protective, courageous, and contains, of course, strong physical force. But it lacks the surrendering ease, compassion, and go with the flow way of being sometimes required in life. The masculine lacks what the feminine excels at, and the feminine lacks the necessities of the masculine. Two lower things coming together to create something of a higher nature. Uh, Perhaps this is the superforce of the mind, and at the top there is the connection between the two. In the flesh, we have two pectorals, two arms, two legs, two eyes, two nostrils, two ears, top half of the body, a lower half of the body. These halves connect in the middle via the hip. Of course, some people have a longer lower half, longer upper half, depending on the person. Some people are masculine, some people are feminine. As above, so below. We have the connection of that to the Vajra, I believe it's called, which is a tool symbolizing and representing the indestructible power of enlightenment and wisdom. The top half is the top half of the body and the masculine, the lower half is the feminine. Now, if we think about the split down the middle of the body, two arms, two legs, two eyes, two nostrils, the only thing that isn't separate on our bodies, of course, excluding the organs, um, are the genitals, the lips, and the anus. And why is this, in my opinion? Maybe because these are the physically one of the most powerful things that we can use to create. So, what comes out of us, pun intended, is of course of most important because it creates and affects the world around us. It is the creation of reality itself, especially when it is excreted and has been created, and for example, on magical ceremony, which uses the mind and body as a means of manifestation. Sex magic, for example. In men, the object that controls both the penis and the anus belong to a single muscle called the sphincter. Now, what comes out of the body from those parts? Feces, urine, semen, sometimes blood, of course. Uh, Feces is death, ejaculation, so semen is birth from the same muscle. Feces also, of course, contains life giving properties in the form of manure. Urine is also perhaps a destructive death end and semen at beginning. And lastly, we have, in rare cases, blood, which is the giver of life to all internal parts, as we discussed earlier. And this may be why Crowley proposed that sex magic, and specifically anal sex, was a powerful manifestation technique. Some of the substances have also been said to be, of these substances, sorry, that I've listed, have also said to be part of the elixir of life. Note as well the connection of the phallic shape of the wand, particularly when performing some magical acts. And I'll leave that to your imagination.
Well, there's both sides of it too. Like there's like the nature side where like all of the same mechanisms would be put to a different energetic end, but like just to add a cherry on top to your point on then the on maybe the other polarity perhaps.
Mm. I think we come to that in a second. Excuse me.
Oh, sure, sure. Yeah, no, I didn't mean to jump the gun.
So we also have I think it's called Vajra. I'll scroll past it now. Also being reminiscent of a crown. And the crown is a symbol of the establishment which rules over the lower, excuse me, the higher classes of the royal family ruling over the lower classes, or the government and the lower. Now, the crown is the system in imbalance, it's inverted, a masculine only dominated rule. Bear me one sec again.
Well, it's also allegedly there's a new instrument that they can tune down to pretty super fine levels and with in terms of quantum sensitivity, and it looks just like that. And allegedly another thing with the Veja is back whenever it was light, one story I heard was it's a lightsaber, and when you were tuned into the right frequency you could hold it in the middle and energy came out both sides or whatever, like and I don't necessarily I believe it could be used like that, and I could see maybe the mechanism, but I think it's all the things that we've discussed and more. Like we don't, there's shit that we don't would never even understand about it, but like also like everything we said
Absolutely.
is true for sure. But I
So,
didn't mean to interrupt. Oh shit, I did it again. Oh,
sorry,
my
mate.
bad.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
Stop apologizing, man. Our legs and our arms are made up of, again, two connecting bones. And our arm, we have the thicker radius and the thinner ulna, two opposites. These 2 points extending from the humerus bone create the Y, the ankh when attached to the hand, of course. Uh, in other hands, the potential of these oppositional bones give way to the interference zone, which is of the hand, in which one can create change in the physical world via the use of our magic wands, which we like to call fingers. We can liken this to sunlight, perhaps, as I've shown there, a single source expanding out. Two ears in line to a what? A brain. Two arms adjacent to a what? A heart. Two legs intersecting between what? Genitals. Here we have mind, body, and creation, or spirit if you prefer. Our noses, when viewed from the side, are one half of the pyramid. Together, when viewed from above, create the pyramid. At any one point, only one nostril is actually working. So one acts as the passive and the other the active, both being able to perform either action, yin and yang. Egg and sperm coming together create the cosmic egg. The cosmic egg is found noted to be the point of creation by many cultures. Some cultures have uttered the egg lay on the water, the shell transforming to the sky, the yolk becoming the earth. Of course, speaking to the connection of order and balance. If two opposites are hugging each other, as one turns, the opposite turns with it. Eventually, this works as a pendulum swing, but if they were to continue, we would see a spiral vortex pattern emerge, not dissimilar to a tree. It's been stated by some that the ether works best in curves. Women are naturally more curvaceous by nature, blood, periods, etc. Blood is, of course, it has that metallic taste of iron, and iron just so happens to be one of the most magnetic elements as well. Conjoined with the curvaceous shape of women's breasts, we can see above that the magnetic field is active in the breasts when a woman is on her period. As we will also notice, the women who express these magnetic fields were women who are on a regular cycle. This cycle showed a biphasic magnetic curve, which just means two phased again. Need I say more? The vagina slash the womb is where you create the baby, which is life, which is created out of balance of the male and the female be quantumly entangled, or in other words, making love. What position is the baby naturally in when birthed? It's the top of the head. As we know, the crown, which is associated with illumination and etc. etc. The top of the skull is also, again, not a coincidence in my opinion. One of the, I believe it's the last portion of the skeleton to fully form on a child. Um, if we think again about babies, when babies are stressed, it's often that they need to be rocked. What direction? Forwards and backwards. A combination of two opposite things creating order from chaos, a third thing from a higher nature. It also doesn't seem a coincidence again that our faces are, you know, somewhat vaginas. Our pineal gland slash brains can be viewed as the clitoris, our nose the urethra, the mouth as the creative aspect, the vaginal hole. What we speak, we create, as we all know, and it's no coincidence that our lips are basically sideways vaginas. And we also see the this notably depicted in Mary Magdalene, the supposed like basically the wavy flowing curves of the hair. Is it pause? Sorry, it says connections unstable. Is it okay?
Oh yeah, no, it got choppy there for a second. I think I caught the Mother Mary part, and then I I looked to see, and I think it's good now though.
I was so I just said it. It was depicted in Mary Magdalene, the supposed mother of Jesus, the bearer of light, in that she clearly represents a vagina. The OTO symbol, a secret society popularized by Crowley, is also, in my humble opinion, clearly representative, symbolically reflected as a representation of the vagina. The Eye of Ra being the clitoris or G spot, which we can liken to connections with Freemasonry, the dove, the urethra, and the wings, the labia slash lips. The crown is, of course, the vaginal opening. Now, how the penis operates is oppositional to how the vagina operates. The sperm exits, sorry, from the balls and comes out of the center point, aka the urethra. So from one of the top portions of the Y, the vagina then receives this sperm from the bottom of the Y, which enters the left or right egg. And in both instances, of course, we have the ankh shape. From two comes one. The baby is born at the center point of every female in the stomach. They are fed through the small center point, which is the belly button, sorry. Now, as you heard Dave said utter in a lot of his talks, we get our best tips from nature. And I don't think this was a coincidence. And the shape of the penis is no different. We have the genitals, which act as a wide base at the bottom, which in some men, obviously, the penis gets thinner towards the top. Not dissimilar to a pyramid. The sperm acting like a toroid, getting smaller and tighter with each successive thrust and movement until the point of explosion into a tightly compact point, aka orgasm at the urethra, which is the center point of the penis, and this is the Z point in action. The morphology
Also,
between. So, carry on, mate.
oh no, I was gonna say also if you take like a mirror image of that Anunnaki guy and flip it so the that he has another pine cone touching, it makes the infinity symbol. So he's like half. That's another interpretation of half of the energetic interaction, I guess is how to put it.
Brilliant, brilliant. Thank you for that, mate.
Oh, I told
Um,
you.
so the mythology behind the genie lamp and its resemblances to the phallus of the god Shiva, the linga, a collaboration of male and female, generative power and destructive power. The friction created by rubbing the lamp gets the genie to come out. A third thing of higher nature, which also includes how many wishes? Three wishes. Sorry, I think I've.
That's a good catch. I never picked before.
Oh, I know why. Sorry, mate. I drew that and didn't realize. There we go. There we go. Um, we can perhaps also
Oh,
see how Da Vinci may have been leading us to this notion via the Vitruvian Man. Now, the Vitruvian Man is superimposed in two positions. He stands within a square inside of a circle, the square being connected to the masculine, the circle, the feminine. What we also see in the Vitruvian Man is the atomic structure, with its center point being the male genitalia, the creative force. We see the combination of the elements, which is commonly known as the Star of David. We see the pentagram and the hexagram, the unicode again. One of its aspects, of course, is the alchemical marriage, the connection of two opposites to create a third thing of a higher nature. Just to briefly further what we've been discussing, Crowley also thought that a mixture of menstrual blood and semen, aka two opposites, man and the divine, creates the elixir of life. The combination of elements can be seen in the atomic structure as well as the Star of David. As it froze again.
no, no, it did there a
No.
second when you right when you said pentagram, it froze up, but after that, it's fine.
The combination of elements can be seen in the atomic structure, as well as the Star of David, the Philosopher's Stone, the Eye of Providence, and again the universal hexagram. And for me, this is a clear indication of how the all really is an all. Is the square root just a flipped Z, perhaps? The masculine and feminine combined? And why do you times it by itself? It's because you need two parts, male, female. This equation shows the magnetic permeability and electric permeativity of both the vacuum and the medium. Both are needed together to create a superforce. The line equation is perhaps the bridge in between worlds, one action you perform in mind and the other in action, where spirit and matter meet, or one in one world, one in this world. But permittivity measures the ability of a material to store energy within the material. Permea- Permeability is a measure of the ability of a material to support the formation of a magnetic field within that material. So, electric is the woman, feminine energy, the vagina, and the male is the magnetic energy and the penis. The caduceus, two snakes, masculine and feminine, creating the superforce when coiled up and rising up the z axis. The scarab in top of the top right has anti-gravitic properties as well as a 0 point. The Ouroboros is matter and ether, creating the 0 point, infinity, etc. Again, all snakes may represent the coiled toroidal nature of reality, or in other words, spin. The pentagram is one of masculine triangle, an arrow, and one of feminine combined. The universal hexagram, two pine cones kissing, center point clover, two arrows, yin and yang. In many religions, we see the interference between man and the divine, the cross, one line at the top and one uh, throughout. Islam, the moon and the star, the Sikh symbol, the yin and the yang, the swastika. All these symbols demonstrate this law of two. The Baphomet, or Baphomet if you prefer, is a symbolic representation of this alchemical marriage. Refraction is the bending of light as it passes through a medium, resulting in an altering of its original path. The Big Bang, perhaps. One became multiple through refraction. We are God divided. The you and I verse, universe, is a hologram. One original piece split in that contains the same image at infinitum. The universe expressions of a divine song which God sang. And of course, this just means vibration, not the floaty head man sang. And as we know, it's that the first word came with God, the word was with God. Again, just to do some shameless self promoting, refraction is the bending of light as it passes through a medium, resulting in an altering of its original path. And this is why I called my book series Refractive Assimilation. It is my attempt to use the alchemical marriage of two opposite books to create a third thing of a higher nature, combining the two. Using refraction via the information that I present, I attempt to somewhat direct consciousness from a single minded black and white ego representative of the first light wave before it connects to the triangle, to achieving understanding and perhaps even gnosis through the redirecting of consciousness into an assimilation of multi-dimensionality. End notes. There's far more than I put here to today. I think I deleted around 20 plus slides just to shorten this into an hour video. Um, we ourselves are the Superforce, and this is why it presents itself in all things. It appears to be the very blueprint of reality. Life is a Superforce. We ourselves are the third thing of a higher nature that was created by the merging of two, our parents. We are the refractive index of God. Thank you so much for listening, and thank you for having me.
Oh man, that was awesome. Yeah, no, thank you. I think maybe it got a little bit choppy there, but I recorded as a cloud, so I'm hopeful it didn't cut the audio out. But amazing, and the point that I wanted to throw the cherry on top that I see it as like the super force is like the super fluid activated would be the super force. Like everything is like a super fluid anyway. Like I'm kind of on the page personally where maybe everything's plasma and just different crystal states of it, but the activated part of it, man, I think it really, like your presentation really drives that home of like it presents itself in so many number of ways that it's no matter how you're ready to what level you're perceiving it on, like I think it's once you're open to seeing it, it really kind of like it hits on like very old levels or like right up until stuff that comes out to today. Like it's that I
Yeah, that's why I tried to include basic examples as, we have two eyes, two ears, because everyone can understand that. And then obviously the more scientific stuff, again, I don't understand that to a deeper level, but it presents itself in all things as I've repetitively shown.
well one thing that I didn't know if you were gonna for the cosmic egg factor too to add to that like something but Mountain Elf pointed out was CIA has like a document where they're showing the energy flow of the body, and I thought the same thing. And I'm not super familiar enough with all the techniques, but I trust his judgment. And the first thing I thought was it just shows all the energy going down, and like I'm like, wait a minute, well that's like you're only getting half the picture. Like it's technically, I think whichever side of you is one side is upward or inward or outward, and the other side is downward and or inward or whatever. And it only shows on the CIA document for that it's all downward. So like they're giving out valid info, like, hey, this is a real thing, and or like, but they're trying to kneecap you from like, oh wait, or maybe it's unintentional, maybe that part's classified still, but like to the point of like which polarity of awareness would release only part of the information. So like everybody, like we could be like, hey, we know there's two sides, like where's the yin yang part of this, like cut the shit. And whereas other people that might not be as in the know would be like, well, the CIA told me it's all downward, so like, oh, that sucks. Like,
Hmm.
I'll just work with that. Like, I think the awareness level of like just general stuff of like, hey, but I heard on Lewis,
We
and
can never know.
I I think it. I think it's getting there for people are aware of it, but like I didn't. I was curious for the cosmic egg factor if it was like a limited hangout type situation again. But that's I do see that everywhere too. The egg is another huge one. I don't know what the deal is, but I appreciate it. It's asymmetric circular action, I guess, would be like if you had like
Mhm.
if you drew an outline around the infinity symbol, it would be an egg, I guess, right?
Yeah, I need to do a bit more research on the egg, but there's definitely something to it.
Oh, I anything else that you? I was gonna say anything else that you wanted to add for like a contact or anything for a cherry on top for that you could think of.
Yeah, so my book is Refractive Assimilation. Part one deals with the external world, so the system. It points the finger and goes, this is what's wrong, this is what's to blame. Part two, hopefully coming out in March, points the finger back at us. It goes, okay, what's wrong with us? How did we allow this system? How do we continue to allow these things in our lives? And number three combines the two. It goes, okay, we're going to change. It's changing the perspective and changing the system at the same time. And so two opposing things come together to hopefully create a third thing of a higher nature, which will be the third book. Um, Snooks on YouTube. I do film presentations analysing the deeper meanings of films. Yeah, that's it.
Oh, it's excellent, man. I think just even the awareness of it is like brings the third aspect that you're talking of into focus, and then it's awesome to see the put in work and making headway to help people get there themselves too. So
Hmm.
I'm grateful to have you, man. And this was amazing. And anytime you want to come back and chop it up, dude, I'm all for it. Hopefully if we got to do the take two, man, I'm game for that. But for this one, then I'll redo. I like being ambushed with presentations though. And being able to react. It's fun like that.
Thank you, bro.
Sick.
It was a pleasure. It was a bit choppy towards the end back there, but yeah.
Oh yeah, a little bit maybe choppier on your end. Hopefully the again recording the cloud. I don't know how the hell the shit works like that, but hopefully, but if
We'll
it's
see.
yeah, I'll let you check it out before I post it, so I don't. It's not. Well, it's at least up to your highest standards, sir. Oh, did we glitch
It
out?
cut out then, mate.
Oh, I was gonna say shit. I'll get it uploaded and I'll get you a link so you can at least check it out, and it's up to your highest standards before anything goes on the public end, man. Total gratitude. Oh, it froze
Oh, of
up
course, I'm
again.
sure it will be, mate.
Absolutely. Well, I'm gonna stop the recording before we freeze out anymore
All
here.
right.
I'm beyond grateful, Sir Lewis.